Welcome to This Time in History, guys. It's Matthew, and we are here for the Ward 8 Eglinton-Lawrence virtual debate for the City of Toronto. I am your host and creator of the podcast This Time in History. With me, as always, is my co-host, my partner in crime, Ebony. So I told you guys off air, but really quickly, I'll let you guys introduce yourself, talk about your platform for a few minutes, and then we'll get into this sort of a mini version. We'll do one set of questions, a short debate, and then you guys can close out. So with that, Philip, you have the floor, and you can go ahead.
So my name is Philip Davidovits. I'm definitely not a politician by trade. The closest I've come to being a politician was I was chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce, and there I learned to work with counties and watch how counties would allow outsider people to come into the community by having a reason to invest. But the community would first accept them in rather than outsiders coming in without, any type of acceptance by the community. I look at today's, Eglinton-Lawrence, very similar to a county. It's let's say Broome County in New York would be 170,000 people. Eglinton-Lawrence 120,000 people. A lot of the investment they get into the county helps pays the taxes for the homeowners. We don't have that in our ward. I don't know why that if people want to invest in the county, we can't help to subsidize the the cost of living in Eglinton-Lawrence. One of the main reasons I got involved with wanting to be the city councilor, I didn't like what's going on with Eglinton and Allen. That it's a 22 to 30-minute drive, and it's going to look like it's going to be longer for the next foreseeable future. And the city is looking at making Eglinton and the Allen now. They're going further and they want to take public lands owned by the city and turn it into some sort of give it over to some private developers. And we don't know the benefit of what's going to be for us. There's 71 projects now in our community. The community has not been offered any affordable housing in any of those projects. I believe that if there's going to be new builds, the people who are living there should be the first to be offered that opportunity. I also believe that we need hospice care in our area. There's a shelter coming up proposed after the election at Bathurst and Wilson. I'd like to stop that shelter, offer to people who are able to live a proper life the ability to rent rooms instead of paying $4,000 a month for the city to house temporary shelter. Let's say 25% of those people going into temporary shelter could have full-time housing. The same way my father, when he moved to Canada, he stayed in a rooming house. We should be offering that, and that location should be given to hospice care. Finally, the if you look at the accident that happened at College and Jarvis, I believe it was at Carlton and Jarvis, with between a car, a pedestrian, and a bike. We need to find a way when we're redoing the roads that the cars, the bikes, and the pedestrians can all go around safely. So I would say I'll stick to those main projects as my beginning start. And thank you for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Philip. Wendy, go ahead. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay, hello, testing. Thank you so much. My name is Wendy Weston. I'm running for City Councilor in Ward 8, Eglinton, Lawrence. Thank you so much, Matthew, for hosting. It's too bad the other candidates aren't here. Philip, it's nice to see you. So Philip, you said that you're not a professional politician, nor am I. I think there's one on the ballot that's a professional politician, but I can share with you that my professional experience includes government, working in government, working with constituents, working with stakeholders, and working with government ministries, provincial ministries specifically. Um, uh, so as a candidate, I don't have promises and platforms, because truly a city councilor doesn't get to make promises and platforms wide. My platform and my promise is to Eglinton-Lawrence constituents who live in the riding, who have a question, issue, or a problem with municipal jurisdiction. I can serve you in a constituency office in the capacity that I have as a city councilor. Okay, and then beyond that, the one vote I would get in a council, that vote is not mine. So that vote would come from the ward, and it's not going to come from one person, two people in this corner. It's going to come from the organized community groups, people who get together. They work. They work for the community, for their to make it better for themselves and their neighbors.
Thank you so much. And I think the most pressing issue, or at least one of them in this election, is the housing crisis. So I think that would be the topic we'll stick to with the time that we have. So how it'll work, Ebony has a question and I have a question, and then you guys can answer the questions kind of together, and then you'll be able to debate. So Ebony, why don't you go ahead? You're on mute. Ebony, you're on mute.
Course, my husband had come and was trying to talk to me. Should we appropriate abandoned buildings to use for affordable housing? And if not, where should we find the room for this affordable housing? Please try and think outside the box, as clearly we don't have any solutions yet. So I would like to hear, even if they're wild, just let me hear your opinions on where we could acquire the space for affordable housing.
And my question will be, would you be in favor of rent freezes and or legalization of rooming houses? Philip, why don't you start us off?
So when my father came to Canada after the war, he rented a room on College Street with someone else as a rooming house. When these immigrants came, my grandmother had a house and she rented out rooms to all the new immigrants, and that made it affordable for them to find jobs and to go around and to meet the community. So I don't understand, now that we allow so much density, why would we not allow rooming houses, both for all these new immigrants that we're allowing in, and also for people from the shelter system who are still well enough to and healthy enough to live on their own. There's a program in Calgary which is working very well, that they check out the person before they offer them to the rooming houses, and instead of spending $4,000 a month on the temporary shelter system, the city can pay $1,000 a month of its existing fund to provide housing to the people who need the shelter system. So there's lots of space. If you go to Boston's near the university, they've taken houses and they've turned them into 8 different apartments. So there's lots of space. This idea that they can take away our parking and our land and our city land to turn it into high density apartments, but they're not allowing people who already own existing homes to have rooms. I don't know where that comes from, but I clearly would like to change that. And I believe as a city councilor, it goes under the municipal mandate that we're allowed to. So that would be a very big focus of mine.
Thank you so much. Wendy, go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna talk abandoned buildings, and if we can take, if a city council or a city can take abandoned buildings and make it into affordable housing, I say no, like that, because abandoned buildings are not abandoned. They are on land, whether it's owned by the city or owned privately. The city council, we can't just come in and take, okay, we're going to take this abandoned land and make it into affordable housing. Thinking outside the box, how can we build affordable housing? I would I would I would suggest when development happens along the best locations like the LRT, those that might be opportunity to work with developers to put in a percentage of units that would be considered affordable, and that the builders would be are obligated to provide affordable housing because they get the best spot, the best location along the Eglinton LRT, right? So if a builder is gonna plan to build something, they want the best location, and we have the best location. So if you want to build there, we need some sort of deal or arrangement that provides or that puts in affordable housing there. Rent freezes. Hold on, you're talking about rent freezes and rooming houses. So rent freezes is not a municipal jurisdiction. The rent freeze and above guideline rent increases is directed by provincial. And then rooming houses do help people who need some space, but it needs to be done in a way that's safe and that's safe. And rooming houses in the past, Philip, your experience or your grandma who had it may have been a very, very wonderful keeper of a rooming house home, but there are, and we know, and this is why they were cut out, that some of these rooming houses weren't safe. Okay, so the rooming house conversation needs to be more than, yes, we're going to put rooming houses in everywhere. Philip, I'm just going to go back to a line you said about immigrants being allowed in. Immigrants aren't being allowed in. Immigrants are being welcomed in. They're being invited by the federal government. Immigrants. And immigrants who are being welcomed and invited to come to Canada are not necessarily interested in going into a rooming house. So that connection, rooming houses to immigrants being allowed in, I can't just let that pass, because that's, I can't let that pass. Immigrants aren't being allowed into Toronto and they don't want to be in rooming houses. Immigrants are being brought to Canada because we need them.
Thank you. The floor is open for you guys to debate. Go ahead.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, do you have a response to that, Philip?
Yeah. So
Heard something?
So what I mentioned, that immigrants are allowed in. It should
No. Don't say immigrants are allowed in. What immigrants are allowed in? Like, can we just keep it?
I believe he may be trying to reword what he said or try and defuse the situation. Obviously, you've been offended, and that's not anybody's intention here. We are going to try and keep it professional, and we are going to try and keep it, political.
Okay, let's be political. I'm professional. I think language really makes a difference.
It definitely does.
So when immigrants come to Canada, having a rooming house option is just another option that they could have. We're not taking, when immigrants come to Canada, and I work with immigration lawyers, they can buy a condo, they can rent an apartment the same way like anyone else does. I just want the rooming house, especially now that mortgages have been risen and the cost of living is so much higher. I want people who live in the Eglinton-Lawrence, who own houses in Eglinton-Lawrence, and maybe their children's left the apartment and they're having a hard time to pay the mortgage, instead of being forced to sell their home, to have the option to be able to rent out rooms. So hopefully my English is okay. I apologize. I speak a Jinglish, a Jewish English, but I mean no disrespect.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, we're all good.
Hold on. Give me a chat. So I don't I didn't thanks Philip. I appreciate the your um, what you said, and the rooming house situation. I'm just gonna go back to, it was a safety thing, right? Like you can't have like in one election, we're not gonna like like we can't just, yes, after October 24th you can have a rooming house. Like there just needs to be more uh, um, consideration on the safety side of it, and it's the safety side of it, really. That's it.
And the safety side now, if you go to the YWCA and you have people living in shelters there, they're anyhow safer to be in a rooming house, especially if it's managed properly, that we're paying $4,000 a month for, than going into a person's home that's been vetted. So I don't agree with you, and I think one of our differences is if I get in, and when I get in, I do plan to make a lot of changes very quickly. I'm not one to take a responsibility and just say, well, let me see what people want at the time come. I'm very proactive, and I'm only doing this because I don't like the direction that the city is going, and I'm going to make very quick changes.
So the one vote and the strong mayor and the rest of the city council may have different plans for your very quick actions when you become city councilor. If
So, and understanding that part of my success when I was the American chapter of the American Chamber of Commerce is I worked with the different various counties and I got consensus. So of course I need to work with city councilors from the different areas, and I need to be able to lobby with them and maybe trade off votes to be able to focus on what I feel is important. But I'm not here just to be there 4 years and not get things done. I have a very clear mandate. I'm going to do the mandate. I'm going to negotiate, and hopefully I'll be a success.
we know everything that we're seeing being built was signed and negotiated 15, 20, 10 years ago. So and in the next 4 years, all of these other things that have already been that's coming down the pipeline is going to be coming down the pipeline. So unless you're going to stand there and you know protest, the changes that a city council is going to do from October 2022 to 2026, honestly, and the important stuff, the changing a direction of a city is not going to happen in 4 years, and we're going to see a city council that if they decide to change our city better, then those effects will be seeing it in some time. My kids, maybe your kids, maybe your grandkids. But I think if if you say you're gonna make changes as a city councilor in 4 years, that's not the way government works.
So I've worked with the government. I've done a lot of business with the federal
Doesn't
legal
matter. Doesn't
government.
matter if you work with government. You're trying to change a city. No way.
Okay, and I respect the opinion that you're not able to do it.
Okay. So
Okay,
yeah, you
I
try. You
respect that.
try.
Yeah, you're not
You
able to
try
do
and
it.
promise, and
I'm
then
not.
and
I'm not
then
promising. I'm telling you my plan. I'm telling you it's very clear. This is my plan. I'm not
your
hiding it.
plan is not.
The city has a deal that they want to open up a shelter by Bathurst and
First of all,
Lawrence.
Bathurst and Wilson is outside the ward, and
South of Wilson. South of Wilson. Don't try everything they say to make that I'm.
well, please be clear.
You know, this is not. You know, I listen to you. I don't interrupt you. I give you my way. We don't have to agree with each other, but I appreciate a little bit of, you know, respect and not going after me on my opinion and saying that when I say Bathurst Wilson is not on the ward, Bathurst House of Wilton is the ward. You don't need to try to bite me. It doesn't work.
I'm not biting. Okay, carry
and you
on.
are, and you are.
No, I'm not biting.
So
Uh,
so so
All right.
so,
Go
so
back
to
to
the,
what you're saying, Pete.
so to that end, there's a scheduled shelter on paper that they want to put in our writing on Bathurst Street.
What's wrong
And,
with that?
oh well, go look at the shelter that they have at Young and Eglinton. What's going on
What,
there?
Roehampton?
Roehampton, it's a
Yeah,
disaster.
yeah, I have friends there.
Okay, so I don't, I'm against it. I don't think it's going to work for the community. I think it's not a one size fits all. I think if you look at that, we need hospice care there because that's near 3 hospitals. Instead of sending our residents of Eglinton and Lawrence 300 kilometers to get hospice care, let's
Come
use that
on.
existing location. You
Come
don't agree?
on.
You're arguing with me again. So do you want to argue with me or do you want
For
to hear my
shelter,
opinion?
just not in this particular neighborhood at this time because you feel like that space would be better utilized for a hospice, but like
Correct.
maybe it'd be better elsewhere.
Yeah, that location is perfect for hospice care, and we need hospice care because otherwise they're going to take our people who out of the hospital are not sick enough to stay in the hospital and move them to Brockville, and they won't be able to get back into the hospital. We need them in the community that we can take care of them, and that if they have trouble again, we can bring them right back to the same hospital they came from.
Do you know of
So-
anywhere else in the community that you think might be a more appropriate place for, affordable housing or a shelter? Sorry.
Well, so first of all, the buzzword affordable housing, and like I'm not sure how much time it's just a buzzword.
Emergency shelter. I misspoke.
No. So it's two separate things: emergency shelter and affordable housing. So affordable housing, if you're entitled to affordable housing, you should have a coupon like they have in the States for affordable housing and able to go to landlord and be able to get an apartment like everyone else. And the government should give that subsidy. And they do that to some degree, but they should be doing it totally. And then there'd be no question if someone's entitled to be affordable housing, they can go to any place that's for rent and get the affordable housing. If the city
but they don't offer enough. It's like about $700 maximum, and that doesn't.
And it's worse than that. Someone who makes $15 an hour cannot afford a bachelor for $1,500 a month, right? So Wendy's right. That part I can't fix in 4 years.
Then end up in a shelter if they can't afford to rent anywhere.
And I can give you programs. I can give you existing programs that work in Calgary and other places. That if you take 25% of the people who are in the shelters, that they're still, they're okay and they're safe, and we work through the shelter system. Instead of spending $4,000 a month to manage a temporary shelter system, we can move them into people's homes and they can have a home and a room. Now, you can tell me all you want this doesn't work. I'll give you cases that does work. I'll give you programs where it's working. Especially in the 18 to 25-year-old that they're kicked out of the different homes and they need a place to go to, and they're still very vulnerable. This system works.
What about the ones that are a little bit more mentally ill? I like this conversation, and I don't mean to press you, but what about?
And I hope to have off you. I spend a lot of time with mental illness. I'm at Duff and Finch Court all the time. When they go ahead and they take people out of shelters who are going to get food at a food bank, and the bylaw officers are ticketing them with a provincial criminal offense, which they can never get rid of. I have people years later, they're trying to get rid of it because, I speak to the bylaw officer, I speak to the teenager, they can't get rid of it. But the same teenagers can go ahead and steal a car and nothing happens to them because the police don't want to deal with it. There's a problem there. So, and Wendy's 100% right. I don't know if I can solve that problem because that's bigger than me. I'm just one counselor, but there's certain things that I can fix. There's certain things I can help other counselors who are in to fix. But if we each do something, if we each go in there looking that I'm there 4 years, I don't want to come out and say I've done nothing. And if I do my piece and everyone does a little piece, in 4 years from now, Toronto City will be a little bit better off.
All right, so that's great. You think that? Sorry.
Sorry.
Never mind.
Go for it, please.
I was just saying that to clarify, you are not against shelters, just not there. And what is your opinion on like the crisis?
So I work with Conti, Conti, they involved with the shelter system. I work with a few other shelter systems. It's not a one size fits all. And part of the problem with the shelter system is that you're segregating a certain class, what you label together, and the people who are no good teach the ones who are good. We need to break that up. There's a program in Chicago I can send you that's broken it up very successfully and doing integration into the community, right? That's the direction we want to work.
Yes, maybe like a co-op. I do think we need more co-op housing for those who cannot live completely independently, where you have rooms and then maybe like a shared kitchen and, maybe services that are provided during the daytime, like through certain staff offices that are located on site, like training, etc. So I think that we do need more of that. Do you feel like there is a place in your ward for that kind of housing?
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of land off the church that they want to help people. So I'm talking about doing soup kitchens. I'm talking about I can send you some of the modular home programs we're looking at, setting up temporary shelters. But again, the challenge is, like Wendy said, to her credit, how much can one person do in this short time, 4 years? But I just want to do something, right? If I can do something and try the other parts, that's great. If the other parts for some reason connects, it's become things click. Sometimes you don't even expect it. That's a bonus.
Modular homes. Okay, I like that.
I'm so sorry, guys. I do have to go.
That's okay. I was just going to ask you to, if you wanted to respond, and then your closing. Don't forget to plug your website. I'm going to be putting that in the show notes. And I'd love to hear anything else you want to say during your closing.
I'm at, so again, I'm Wendy Weston. I'm at www.wendyweston.com. Closing statements. I think this is an ongoing conversation, and every debate or interaction I have with another fellow person on the ballot, we hear things off of each other, and we can think about how we can serve as city councilor. So I'm gonna, with that, I'll say thank you so much for your time, and I'll let you wrap up, and then I'll go.
Thank you so much. Philip, same to you. If you want to include your website and any closing thoughts.
You can just Google me, Philip Davidovits. All my websites and my LinkedIn and my Facebook will all show up. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime.
And thank you guys so much. I'm excited. I'm excited for the city of Toronto. I'm excited for your ward as well, Ward 8. I can't wait to see what happens next. And I wish you guys all the luck on your campaign trail.
Okay, good luck to you too, Philip.
Thank you.
We're no hard feelings. Okay, we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.